No team is invincible. Nobody is unbeatable. We often think that during the course of a college football season, the latest performance seems to be amplified and extrapolated on through the season, thinking, okay, that's the team, or those are the two teams, and nobody else can come close to them. And it's often not necessarily the games that we circle on the calendar. It's somebody else. It's Pitt against Clemson last season. And we can go down the list of games. It was Ole Miss 2 consecutive years against Alabama. Okay, this time it's Syracuse at the Carrier Dome, the site of tremendous historic basketball games and basketball upsets, both by the Cuse and against the Cuse. But this time it's football, and it's Syracuse defeating a top 2 team in the country for the first time in 33 years and really winning a significant game for the first time in a long time. They reached postseason play a couple years back under Scott Schaefer and Doug Marrone, but barely won 6 and 7 games. Syracuse defeats Clemson, the decided one of 2 best teams in the country, 27-24 at the Carrier Dome, and they move on to 4-3. So let's talk Clemson football, of course, and we'll pick up the key plays of the second half. Most of the offense of this game was in the first half of play. A couple reasons for that was because Kelly Bryant was at quarterback for Clemson in the first half, so they were keeping up with the Syracuse up-tempo pace and putting points on the board after the Cuse would score. Also because Syracuse changed its game plan in regards to running the clock once they had a tie score and then the lead late in the game. So they didn't run their customary goal for 100 plays to win a big game, but Dino Babers will take it. Give him the 100 plays because he had a lead and he was running the clock late in the football game. So Syracuse first points and the deciding points in the game and the only points of the second half. Yes, once they grabbed the lead or got that 24-all tie, was after a pass interference play on a 3rd and 9. So this was critical in this game. And then Erwin Phillips also getting a huge play, not just on the pass interference, but converting another 3rd down. He had 4 catches for 94 yards, and it was the Syracuse passing game, of course, that got them the lead. It was the up-tempo play, and this isn't just let's hurry up and let's get the plays in. You can see by the blocking schemes, by the wide receiver rub routes, by what they do in the complexity of this offense that makes it so difficult to deal with. And Clemson, many Clemson fans, smart Clemson fans, had commented throughout the week, this game worries us. Not that I think that they expected to lose, but worries us from a defensive standpoint because it's going to take our defensive linemen to a certain extent out of the game because how quickly the ball comes out of the quarterback's hand. The botched first, we had A.J. Terrell, the freshman defensive back, hurt. He took a knee to the helmet. He had to leave the game. Key play in this game was once Clemson was off the field with a sack by, I believe, Austin Bryant, that he also committed the offsides. That was a huge play in this game. 3rd and 9, Clemson gets off the field, but no. They had the sack negated. They were offsides. That continues after the pass interference as well, the series that gave Syracuse the lead. They had a 4th and 1. This time it wasn't the Bush push. It was the Dungy push with Dante Strickland gaining the 1st down. So this was huge in this game as well, and it's going to be lost, is that the Syracuse offensive line did a tremendous job, not just in the passing game, in protection, because they only have to fend off Clemson for a split second while Dungy gets the ball out of his hand. But Syracuse separated in the receiving game. Their wide receivers, we mentioned both Steve Ishmael and Erwin Phillips with not huge games yardage-wise because, again, they tightened it up in the second half and played more ball control in the second half. But the wide receivers separated, and the offensive line did a job on this Clemson front with exotic blocking schemes and then also physically doing the job up front. So the Dungy push on the 4th and 1, Strickland gets the 1st down. They get the field goal to make it 27-24. And what a difference in field goal kicking. Clemson lost Hugel a few weeks ago They missed how many field goals in this game? 3 field goals. And it didn't even look like a kicker who was confident who gets into a slump missing field goals that are going end over end. These things are shanked. They're hooked. They were awful, awful looking kicks. So Clemson has a lot of work to do in correcting the kicking game. Play of the game possibly as well, the fake punt. So it's 27-24. There's 5.5 minutes left in the game. Clemson could have kicked it deep on 4th and long and possibly buried Syracuse inside its 10-yard line, set up the defense for a short field for the offense to get the game tying field goal or possibly a touchdown with that much time left. Well, Clemson goes for the fake field goal or for the fake punt. And Will Spires, I don't know what he saw downfield. There was absolutely nothing open, and he certainly didn't have the arm strength to even get it to the receiver that he was intending to throw it to. Dabo Sweeney pulled him to the side. They had a play on where the punter would see a certain look and then go for the fake. He went for the fake, apparently didn't see that look, and that was ill-fated from the start. There was no way the guy was open. Number 2, the punter couldn't get it downfield that far. That was ugly. And then Steve Ishmael on the offensive end for Syracuse converted a big 3rd and 11 play that may have, if not converted, given Clemson the ball back. And then we saw, of course, Syracuse run it out. So that was surprising in and of itself for Syracuse to hold the ball for the final 5 minutes of the game, convert the 3rd down plays, passing and then rushing against that Clemson defensive front. And Syracuse moves on to the win 27-24. Kelly Bryant lost in the first half, late in the first half of this game. He hit on 12 of 17 passes. Zarek Cooper, there's nothing that's going to indicate in the box score what he failed to do. He was 10 of 16 passing, 88 yards. A lot of underneath stuff, couldn't hit the long throws, sailed a lot of throws, didn't turn it over in the passing game, but just couldn't hit the plays downfield. Surprising here, and this is a credit to the Syracuse offense holding on to the ball. Of course, credit to the Syracuse defense getting off the field. Clemson only ran 57 plays in this game. Clemson wanted to run far more than 25 times and assert its will on the Syracuse defense, and they just weren't on the field to do it. And when they were on the field, credit the Orange, getting off the field defensively. Syracuse, as I mentioned off the top, Dino Babers' goal is to run 100 plays. They ran 83. They'll take the win 27-24. Syracuse is now 4-3. They've got 2 daunting tasks, and I say that with a wink in my eye and a tongue in the cheek, at Miami, at Florida State. Should they win those games? Probably not. Probably will not be able to duplicate this effort, but it's now possible. And maybe this program turns around from here. Do they get to national championship contention? No, they don't have the roster to do it. But what a win this is and what it could do to the psyche of this football team and giving some credibility to the message that Dino Babers has been shouting for the past few years. For Clemson, is it the end of the season? Of course, it's not. They've got the ACC championship in front of them with the faltering of Florida State and to a lesser extent NC State, Louisville in particular, but they've got the date with NC State, and that's going to be now for the Atlantic Division Championship. Clemson's got Georgia Tech, a tricky game before that, NC State in 2 weeks, and don't forget about Florida State. I know they haven't looked good. They've lost 3 games, and the offense is dismal at this point, but I still believe in those athletes, and Clemson does not have any cakewalks in the next 3 weeks to get to the ACC championship game. So the road's still there. The path is still there for Clemson, but they can make no mistakes now in playing through the ACC championship game against likely Miami, possibly Virginia Tech. My thoughts on Clemson and Syracuse football. What a night at the Carrier Dome. This is Mark Rogers TV with instant analysis. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out the audio versions on Podbean, Stitcher, and iTunes, where I talk to the top bloggers and broadcasters in college football each and every day. Right here on Mark Rogers TV.